begin. I never imagined I'd be the kind of man who could get played. Not me. I wasn't soft, clueless, or naive. I prided myself on being sharp, unshakable, someone who wouldn't tolerate disrespect from anyone, especially a woman. But life has this cruel way of testing you, pushing you to your limits just to see if you'll crumble under pressure or burn everything down before it gets that far. Her name was Evelyn, a vision with long blonde hair, legs that seemed endless, and curves so dangerous they could make even the holiest among us question their vows. She had this way of looking at me, like I was the only man in her world, the one thing she truly wanted. Maybe that's why I let my guard down. Maybe that's why I let her in when every instinct should have screamed otherwise. We met 5 years ago in a dimly lit bar, the kind of place where small talk felt cheap, but somehow necessary. She sat there sipping something expensive, pretending not to notice the men circling her like vultures drawn to prey. When our eyes locked as I walked past, she didn't look away. She challenged me, dared me, and damn it, I took the bait. It wasn't long before she became mine, or at least that's what I thought. Our marriage was reckless, born out of too much whiskey and one impulsive night in Vegas. At first, it felt right. I worked hard, ran my own business, gave her everything. The house, the car, the lifestyle most women dream about. For a while, she played the part perfectly, sweet, loyal, insatiable. But some people don't know how to be satisfied. Some people take all you give them and still want more. It started subtly. Late nights out with friends, a gym membership she never used, an obsession with keeping her phone face down whenever I entered the room. Each detail gnawed at me, but I told myself I was overthinking things. Then came that night. We were sitting across from each other at dinner, her twirling her wine glass between slender fingers, lips curling into that same daring smirk she wore when we first met. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice calm, almost casual. I leaned back in my chair, waiting. "I'll be seeing another man for a while," she continued. No shame, no hesitation. "Of course, we'll still make love, but I'll also be with others." I stared at her, not because I was shocked. Deep down, I'd been expecting something like this, but because I was deciding what kind of man I was going to be in that moment. Evelyn tilted her head, watching me, probably thinking I'd argue, beg, maybe even try to understand. Instead, I smiled, a slow, easy smile that must have made her think I was okay with it. "All right," I said simply. "If that's what you want." That was the end of the conversation. She went to bed that night smug, convinced she'd won. What she didn't realize was that she had no idea what was coming. Growing up rough taught me lessons no school ever could. My childhood wasn't filled with silver spoons or safety nets. It was fists and fire. My old man was a bastard, drunk and angry, the kind who took his failures out on his kid. By the time I was 10, I learned the world doesn't care about fairness. You either take what's yours or get trampled underfoot by those stronger than you. By 16, I was fighting bare-knuckle underground matches, cash in hand by the end of the night. Those fights weren't for sport. They were survival. Every punch thrown was another step away from the life I was born into. And I didn't lose. Ever. By my 20s, I had built something from nothing. My own business, high-end security services, catering to the wealthy elite who needed protection from men exactly like the ones I used to fight against. Money flowed in, stability followed, and for the first time in my life, I felt untouchable. Then came Evelyn. She wasn't like the women I usually dealt with. She didn't flinch when I spoke, didn't back down when I pushed. Fire wrapped in silk. That's what she was. I mistook that fire for passion, not realizing it was destruction waiting to happen. We married fast, too fast. One drunken night in Vegas, and suddenly she had my last name. I didn't regret it, at least not then. She was mine, and I took care of what was mine. When we had our son, Liam, my whole world shifted. I fought harder now, not just for myself, but for him. Everything I endured growing up, every lesson I learned the hard way, I passed on to him freely. I worked tirelessly to ensure he'd never know the hunger, fear, or desperation that shaped me. But Evelyn burned it all to the ground. The cheating hurt, sure, but what came after was worse. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife ever could. She didn't just cheat. She plotted. She manipulated. She turned my entire life upside down. And when I realized what she had done, I knew revenge wasn't just an option. It was inevitable. The night after Evelyn dropped her bombshell, she strutted home late, heels clicking against the marble floor, expecting everything to remain unchanged, expecting to find me waiting like some obedient dog. But the house was empty, completely. Not just my things, everything. The furniture, the electronics, even the food in the fridge. I took it all. She didn't just lose me that night. She lost everything I ever gave her, including Liam. I picked him up from school before she even realized what was happening. If she wanted to sleep around, fine. But she wasn't doing it in my house on my dime, with my son under the same roof. When she called, screaming, I let it go to voicemail. Then came the texts, the threats, the begging. None of it mattered. The next day, she stormed into my office, slamming her hands on my desk, eyes wild. "What the hell did you do?" she demanded. I leaned back in my chair, calm and collected. "Exactly what you wanted, sweetheart. You said you'd be seeing other men, so I made sure you had all the free time in the world to do it." Her face twisted with rage. "You took my son, our son." I corrected her. "And I'm the only one acting like a real parent." She lunged at me, nails like claws, ready to scratch, to hurt. I caught her wrists before she could touch me, twisting them just enough to make her wince. "I don't hit women," I said, voice low and steady. "But if you try that again, I won't be so gentle." She breathed hard, eyes flickering with something, fear, maybe, or understanding. I let go, and she staggered back, rubbing her wrists. "You can't do this," she spat. "I'll take you to court." I smirked. "Good luck. I've got the best lawyer money can buy. And you? You've got nothing." That was it. She wanted freedom, and now she had it. No home, no family, no son. Just an empty house, and a bed she'd have to share with every man she thought was worth losing it all for. Evelyn wasn't stupid. Selfish, yes, a liar absolutely, but not stupid. She knew exactly what she was doing that night, swirling her wine, and casually telling me she'd be seeing other men. She expected anger, a fight, a heated argument where she could twist the narrative and make herself the victim. Instead, I gave her nothing. I took everything. And that's when I learned something dangerous about her. She wasn't the kind of woman to accept defeat. For weeks after I left, I heard nothing. No calls, no texts, just silence. Almost like she had disappeared. I should have known better. I should have known she was planning something. Evelyn had always been good at getting what she wanted. Before me, she was a girl who knew how to play the game, using her looks, charm, and body to climb through life. She knew how to manipulate men, making them feel powerful while quietly pulling the strings. With me, though, she had no control, and that's why she did it. She didn't cheat because she was unsatisfied. She cheated because she wanted to prove something to herself, that no man, not even me, could ever own her. And when I took everything, I didn't just humiliate her. I destroyed the illusion she had built in her mind. So she struck back, and she made it nuclear. The first sign came subtly, a call from my lawyer. "Your accounts," he said, voice tight. "They've been frozen. All of them." My grip tightened around the phone. "All of them?" I didn't need to ask why. Evelyn. I had locked her out of my finances before I left, ensuring she didn't have a single cent to her name. But she had found a way to fight back. Turns out, she had been planning this for a long time, long before she ever told me about the other men. While I was running my business, making sure she never had to lift a finger, she had been laying the groundwork for her revenge. Fake accusations, lies, a carefully crafted story about financial abuse, emotional control, and, of course, the ultimate dagger, claims that I was a danger to our son. At first, I laughed, a bitter, disbelieving laugh. "She can't win this," I told my lawyer. He didn't laugh. "She doesn't need to win," he said. "She just needs to drag this out long enough to ruin you." And she did. The betrayal hit hard and fast. My business, the company I built from the ground up, was suddenly under investigation. False claims, lawsuits, clients pulling out. They didn't want to be associated with a man accused of domestic issues. Even my employees, the ones who had been with me for years, started looking at me differently. That's when I realized just how deep Evelyn's manipulation went. She had help, not from just any man, but from someone close. Someone I trusted. My best friend, Marcus. Marcus, A guy I'd known since my street fighting days, a guy who had been by my side through everything. I brought him into my business, made him my right-hand man, gave him a future. And all along, he had been sleeping with Evelyn behind my back. It wasn't just about the cheating anymore. It was war. And if Evelyn thought she had won, she had no idea what was coming. Losing everything, my business, my bank accounts, my reputation, was bad enough. But the worst part, the part that made my blood boil hotter than hell itself, was that Evelyn was coming for Liam. She wasn't satisfied with taking my money, my name, my company. No, that wasn't enough. She wanted to rip the last piece of my soul out and watch me bleed. And she wasn't doing it alone. She had Marcus, my so-called best friend, the man I trusted more than anyone, the man who had eaten at my table, held my son, stood beside me like a brother. And all along, he had been fucking my wife behind my back, whispering in her ear, helping her plot my downfall. But the real betrayal, the one that felt like a knife buried so deep in my back I could still taste the steel, was that Marcus wasn't just sleeping with Evelyn. He was claiming Liam as his own. The court papers hit me like a freight train. Petition for sole custody. Evelyn and Marcus standing together, claiming I was unfit, that I was a danger, that I had a violent past. They had evidence, fabricated police reports, witness statements from people I didn't even know, photos of bruises on Evelyn's arms, bruises she probably gave herself. And Marcus, that piece of shit, had the audacity to say he had been a father figure to Liam, that he was better suited to raise my son. I saw red. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted annihilation. The first move was clear. If I played by the rules, I would lose. Evelyn had the courts, the lies, Marcus. So I didn't play by the rules. I played by my own. First, I sent a message, something that would make them realize I wasn't a man they could bury. I went for Marcus first. It was easy, too easy. He had gotten comfortable, thinking I was too busy fighting legal battles to come after him. He was still working out at the same gym, still walking around like a king, like he hadn't just betrayed the only real friend he ever had. That night, he walked into the parking lot alone. I was waiting. I let him see me first, let him register what was about to happen. The way his face drained of color. That was the first win of the night. "Hey man," he stammered, holding up his hands like that was going to do anything. "Listen, I hit him before he could finish. One punch, just one. A hard, straight shot to the jaw. His skull cracked against the pavement, and he went down like a sack of bricks. He tried to crawl away, but I wasn't finished. I crouched beside him, grabbed his hair, and made him look at me. You think you can take my son?" My voice was calm, controlled. "You think you can fuck my wife and walk away like nothing happened?" He whimpered something, blood running from his nose, dripping onto the asphalt. I didn't care. I leaned in close. "You're gonna drop that custody case." His swollen lips trembled. I can't. It's Evelyn. I grabbed his throat, not tight enough to choke, just tight enough to remind him who the fuck I was. "You're going to drop that case," I repeated. "And then you're going to disappear? Because if I see you again, Marcus, I won't stop at a broken jaw." I let go, and he coughed, gasped, scrambled to his feet like a wounded rat. "You're a psycho," he spat. I just smiled. "You have no idea." He ran. And just like that, my best friend, the man who thought he could steal my family, became a ghost. Evelyn was next. I could have done the same to her, waited for her in some dark parking lot, let her feel the same fear I did when she tried to take Liam. But no, that was too easy. Evelyn's real weakness wasn't pain, it was power. She thrived on control, on being the one pulling the strings. So I did the one thing she never expected. I ruined her first. I exposed everything. The affair, the fake police reports, the fabricated abuse claims. I hired private investigators to dig up every dirty little secret she tried to bury. And then I made sure the world knew. Her family, her friends, the court, her job, all of them got front row seats to her downfall. She lost credibility, lost support, lost the golden image she spent years building. And then, when she was at her lowest, when she had nowhere left to turn, I took Liam, legally, permanently. The judge saw through her lies, saw the fake bruises, the contradictions in her story. The case collapsed like a house of cards. When the final ruling came down, full custody, mine, Evelyn stood in the courtroom that day, stunned, shaking. She tried to fight it, screamed, cried, begged. But I didn't even look at her. Because Evelyn wasn't my problem anymore. She was nothing, and I had won. I didn't hear from Evelyn after that. Not for weeks, not for months. After the judge handed me full custody of Liam and dismissed her lies, she vanished. No more texts, no more threats, no more crocodile tears begging for another chance. I'd broken her in a way no man ever had before. But I knew Evelyn. She wasn't the type to accept defeat. So when I got home late one night and saw my front door slightly open, I wasn't surprised. I stepped inside, slow and careful. The house was dark, but I could smell something faint in the air. Perfume. Her perfume. I locked the door behind me. If she was here, she wasn't leaving the way she came in. A shadow moved in the hallway. Then her voice, soft, almost pleading. I just wanted to see him. I exhaled through my nose, rolling my shoulders, cracking my knuckles. Liam isn't here. Silence. Then she stepped into the dim light of the kitchen. She looked different, gaunt, makeup smeared, blonde hair tangled, like she hadn't brushed it in days. This wasn't the Evelyn who used to strut around like a queen. This was a woman on the edge. She clutched something in her hands, a folded piece of paper. I wrote him a letter, she said quietly. Just let him read it. I didn't move, didn't take it. He doesn't need anything from you. Her eyes flickered, something dark flashing behind them. You took everything from me. I tilted my head. You took it from yourself. She swallowed, lips trembling. I almost believed she was broken. Almost. But then she smiled, and I knew this wasn't over. The final betrayal, I thought. Evelyn didn't break into my house just to hand me a letter. She wanted to see if she still had power, if she could rattle me, get inside my head, make me react. But I wasn't that man anymore. She tried a different approach, the victim. I loved you, she whispered. I almost laughed. No. Oh, you love control. And when you lost it, you lost your mind. Her nails curled into fists. For the first time, she looked small, weak, like she realized too late that she had lost everything. Then the real reason she was here slipped from her lips. Do you think this is over? Her voice was barely above a whisper. You think taking my son, my life, my reputation was enough? I stared at her. It's over, Evelyn. She shook her head, smiling that broken, desperate smile. No, baby. She licked her lips. It's just beginning. That's when I noticed the red light. Faint, blinking. A hidden camera. My eyes flicked to the corner of the room, barely visible between the cabinets. Its lens glinted under the low light. I turned back to Evelyn. She was waiting, watching. She wanted me to react. She wanted me to lose control, grab her, push her, do anything that could be twisted into evidence. The final trap. I smiled. You should go, Evelyn. Her smile faltered. What? I stepped closer, not aggressive, just enough to let her feel the shift in the air. You broke in here, set up a camera, and thought you could bait me. I murmured, leaning in just enough to let my words scrape against her ear. And the best part? You think I'm stupid enough to fall for it. Her breathing hitched. I leaned in closer. You lost, sweetheart. Go home. Her whole body stiffened. I could feel the rage shaking through her. She wanted me to snap, wanted a reaction so badly. But I gave her nothing. She stumbled back, eyes wild, lips parted like she wanted to say something. Then, without another word, she turned and ran. The door slammed behind her. I waited, listened, and then I walked to the cabinet, plucked the hidden camera from its spot, and crushed it between my fingers. Checkmate. Evelyn was done. She just didn't know it yet. Evelyn was finished. She just hadn't accepted it yet. Her attempts to ruin me had failed. Her plan to take Liam was dead in the water. Marcus, he had disappeared too, afraid to show his face again. Now, after her pathetic little stunt with the hidden camera, she had no cards left to play. But I wasn't stupid enough to think she'd give up. A woman like Evelyn doesn't fade quietly. So I waited. I kept my guard up, watched my back, had my lawyers watching hers. I even hired private security to keep an eye on Liam at school, just in case. And then, a week later, she made her last move, the one she thought would destroy me. It was 2 a.m. when my phone buzzed, a block number. I answered, expecting another one of her drunken voicemails. But it wasn't her. It was a cop. "Mr. Hayes," the voice on the other end said. "This is Detective Owens with the NYPD. We need you to come down to the station." I frowned. "Why?" There was a pause. "It's about Evelyn." Something in my gut tightened. I grabbed my keys and left. When I got to the station, they took me into a cold, sterile interrogation room. Two detectives sat across from me, faces blank. One of them slid a folder across the table. Inside were pictures. Evelyn bruised, beaten, cuts along her arms, her lips split open. All fake. All staged. But the accusation hit hard. Attempted murder. "She's claiming you broke into her apartment and attacked her," the detective said, watching my face closely. "Says you threatened to kill her." I exhaled slowly. Evelyn's last desperate move. I leaned back in my chair. "And do you believe her?" The detective hesitated. Then the door opened. My lawyer walked in. And just like that, the game ended. Evelyn's story didn't hold. She had no evidence, no witnesses. And the biggest problem? She had forgotten about the security camera in her own damn building. The footage showed everything. Her walking into her apartment alone. No struggle. No forced entry. No sign of me anywhere. Just her hurting herself, staging the entire thing. When the detectives saw it, they had no choice. Evelyn wasn't a victim. She was the criminal. The last time I saw her, she was sitting in a courtroom, wrists in cuffs, eyes hollow. The judge read the charges. False accusations, breaking and entering, attempted fraud. She didn't look at me, didn't speak, because she knew she had lost. And me? I walked out of that courtroom with Liam beside me, free. Evelyn was nothing now, just a bad memory. And I was finally done with her.